Oh, I don't think you've ever known a figure like her. Here's a look at the brand new McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Wonder Woman. Gotham City's formidable, forceful vigilante takes on Metropolis's most revered modern-day savior, while a new threat quickly arises, putting mankind in greater danger than ever known before. When it comes to the Princess of Themyscira, maybe third time's the charm. Before we get a closer look, though, at the Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Wonder Woman, let's take the tape measure and see how tall the figure stands. Why I do say third, though, because this is actually the third time we've gotten this mold with a completely different new head sculpt. They have finessed a few things here as well that we'll discuss, obviously, in this review. In the meantime, though, you're looking, though, at Diana standing at about 7¼ inches in height, or Wonder Woman's going to be about 18½ centimeters tall. As for the lineage of movie Wonder Woman from Todd and his team, the first one that we got was this one here. Lighter on skin color, not as muscular certainly in the legs, and she had also one issue where you could see they still painted the ankles in flesh tone. It did get, though, an improvement, a vast improvement with the one that we got from Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I think it was Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Still haven't even seen that movie. Much better looking Wonder Woman, more muscular also here in the legs. That is also a trait that gets carried over to the new release. The one thing I really did like, though, about the Shazam version of her was that the tiara was a separate piece. It was something that she would carry around in her hand, but I chose, though, instead, and I think a lot of collectors did this as well, you could pry the hair just a little bit away from her hair, or from her face, and you could tuck the tiara in there. And it made for a good stand-in Wonder Woman until, of course, we got the superior one here. Let's move also these Wonder Womans off to the side here. The only other Wonder Woman that we did get, at least from the movie treatment, was this one here. This is the golden armor. Still beautiful looking Wonder Woman. The only thing that had an issue with mine, and I got this directly from GameStop, was the back of her hair looked like she had gotten a haircut. It was completely cut clean off. Other than that, though, I'm only going to be seeing it from the front anyways. I might just end up now retiring these two in favor of a much superior one that we're getting here now. As for the figure's offerings, Wonder Woman first includes a display stand. Nothing really different at all about this display stand versus ones we've looked at before. The DC logo is still there, the peg is still there, and like with cases before, you can plug it into either one of her boots. Let's move off to the side. The figure also comes included with a pretty cool looking card. Gal Gadot, I know now, is not coming back as Wonder Woman. I mean, I thought she was fine. I didn't think her acting was all that great. I mean, she made for an okay movie Wonder Woman. I do hope, though, that James Gunn selectively chooses, I feel, to be a much better Wonder Woman with his movies moving forward. Wonder Woman, though, as you can see, is Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice down below. On the back, though, what's strange about this is while the real name is listed Diana of Themyscira, that's not the strange part. What's strange, though, is that the paragraph that we read makes no mention at all of Themyscira nor Wonder Woman either. It just sort of gives us a generic read-up, something more relating. It's basically just like a log line to a movie, or more specifically Batman v Superman's movie. It just kind of seems strange that they chose not to include anything about Wonder Woman on the back. With that off to the side, figure also comes included with her lasso. Now, this version of Lasso of Truth happens to be the same one that we got with this release, and I just happen to have the other one. Where's the other one? Where's the other one? Right over here. I think this was the first Wonder Woman lasso. Correct me if I'm wrong. This might also have been the one that we got from Shazam 2. This is the new Lasso of Truth. I know this 100%. Coloring, as you can see, does change, but the mold seems exactly the same. This figure 8 configuration does have a little loop on the top, and if you look on the side of her belt, there's a little hook right there, and you basically just lasso that lasso truth in place. I suppose you could also use the exact same idea in with the other lassos. The thing about it, though, is that you'll see, and I knew right away that this is the one that came with this figure because the colors match exactly to her belt. Unfortunately, though, that she doesn't come included with any other variation of lasso. However, though, I've got a couple of other ones that we've gotten with the other Wonder Woman. So there's this one. There's also this one here. Again, I don't know which one came with which figure, but at least I've got a few extras I can display along with this one here. What can also be displayed with this figure is that she also comes included with her sword. The sword and the also mentioned shield look good. The only thing about it, though, is it does seem like they're too large for the figure. If you look at the handles on the back, these will fit over her arm. But, I mean, right away, the moment you drape this across her arm, it just seems like it was almost designed for a different figure instead. I suppose you could really take her grip and clip it around the handle here so there's a place to hold it, or you could just cheat and sort of just slide it up her arm. But it does seem, though, doesn't it, like the straps are way too big for her to accommodate on her arm now. The same can also be said as well for her sword. The sword does a much better job, though, of holding in her hand. Let's drop the lasso over there. It does fit into her hand, although, looking at the handle, does it seem to me like the handle's way too big for the sword? I mean, like, the sword length is okay, but I feel like the handle maybe should have been a little bit thinner. By the way, there is no storage space. I bent her thumb by accident. There's no storage space at all on the back of the figure. I mean, if there was a dress release of her, she probably could have some sword just conveniently stored. We still don't know now where she stored the sword. I'll leave that with you for thought. Getting, though, a closer look at Wonder Woman, though, I will say, by far, this is the best-looking Wonder Woman. Not only, I would say, from what we've got from McFarlane Toys, but I would just say across the board, this might just be one of the best Wonder Woman likenesses and bears a very, I don't even need, I think, to argue the point, one of the best-looking likenesses to Gal Gadot ever. Of course, it doesn't have a removable tiara this time around, unlike, though, the Shazam 2 version of Wonder Woman. Bodies-wise, this is probably the closest one to compare. Now she has the muscular legs, which are the one trait that gets carried over from the Shazam 2 version of Wonder Woman. Body and bodice seem to be the same. It looks like also the bracelets also look to be the same, and even like the gauntlets. Now, there are some color changes that they made differently here. So, like, for example, you can see like her gloves here. The bandages are done in a much lighter brown. A darker brown here. They've also gone in, and thank goodness, they painted the peg or used a molding of plastic the exact same as her hand. So that, like, one of the issues, though, really isn't so much on this Wonder Woman, but on the initial one, is that you can see, like, first of all, they gave her much lighter hands. The hands seem like really small, too, even though I'm sure they're the exact same. But you can also see, like, for her boots, they left the exposed bare sections of her feet. Now, I know some people like that. I mean, it works better for the aesthetics of the movie. Unfortunately, though, they are using, like, flesh tone pegs. The one that we got from Shazam Fury of the Gods has the more reddish peg, and they're also something that they carried over to this one as well. I mean, it's missing, though, the flesh or the skin coloring in between the straps. But I mean, that's a small detail that doesn't bother me at all. But I mean, I'm glad, though, that they're using the more muscular build. The first, though, Wonder Woman, I don't think really necessarily cut it. It was way too thin. You could see there on the legs. The arms, though, if you're looking at the two, they look like they're maybe identical to one another. So, like, the legs are clearly something that's molded differently. Skirting is the same. Armor is the same, whether you compare it against this one or you compare it against the Shazam 2 version of Wonder Woman. I don't think the armor has been changed at all. Color really is the one thing that's cosmetically been changed differently. And, of course, the head sculpt. Can't stop really talking about how good that head sculpt actually looks. Hair-wise, I think it's very somewhat similar. I think they probably may have even used the exact same wig on the back. I mean, like, if you look at the sculpting, maybe it's just the case that they only sculpted a brand new face and kept the hair the same, because it looks like they are using the exact same hair, doesn't it? For the details, though, on the rest of the figure, I mean, I could spend so much time talking about how good the face looks, but the rest of the face, the skin tone for the rest of her body, I should say, matches pretty close to her face. She's a little redder, though, here, and not as red here, but, I mean, faces tend to be a little bit more reddish in skin color versus, like, the rest of the body. I think it's still, like, color-wise, it's definitely the best Wonder Woman we've gotten. Darker, though, on the skirting, a more reddish kind of metallic finish here. The only thing I will say, though, is, like, the top half of her body, this bodice section of her armor, doesn't quite seem like it's the same red, does it, as her abdomen area. It looks like the abdomen is maybe like just a little bit more of a darker coloring or a little less red in that. Look how close we're getting to that. Of course, the coloring of the belt works quite well. The softer plastic also means, too, that when it comes to moving the articulation on the figure, she's not going to be limited at all. Speaking of which, though, for the articulation here, for now, the new third release of Wonder Woman, her head's going to rotate back and forth. It's going to have a little bit more of the limitations, obviously, just because she's got hair on the side like this. So the head can rotate back and forth. It can move up only by this much, and you can look down, have the figure looking down like that. Arms hinge out easily at a T pose. You can take the arms and rotate them all the way around. You want to use this arm, you can rotate this arm, sure. There's a swivel there at the bicep, double hinge on the elbow, and the hands rotate all the way around. Upper torso is going to be on a ball joint. I mean, like, all of the stuff that we're covering off now, even if you went back to the original Wonder Woman, she did all the exact same thing. But, you know, again, like, it's just, again, better looking mold, better looking paint, better looking Wonder Woman. As mentioned, though, again, she has the upper torso ball joint. She does have a lower abdomen ball joint, too. Legs do split out. They're on ratcheted joints. You can take the leg. Yeah, the legs move forward, move them back, swivel there at the top of the thigh. The figure does have a double hinge at her knees, and also the articulation there in the ankle, a nice little ankle rocker. And the figure, of course, to wrap things up, does have a toe articulation there as well. In the end, I mean, like, obviously a review like this would be hopefully helpful to show you guys, like, even though, again, like, we've gotten this treatment, this mold treatment done now, what, 3 times? 3 times already? First it was this release. Get her stand. Then, of course, it was the Shazam Fury of the Gods. I keep calling it, was it Fury of the Gods? I only really watched the first Shazam. I had little to no interest to really watch the second one, even though I know Wonder Woman was in it. Yeah, again, like, to get the same mold, let's just fix her hair, fix her head. To get that same mold again, and obviously they would have now used the lower legs from this release. Collectively, we get ourselves the best Wonder Woman we've ever gotten. I still feel like I'm probably going to go ahead to retire these two now. This one had been retired for a while. It was sitting in my tote. I had to actually spend a little bit of time just to try to track it down. This one was my stand-in Wonder Woman for a while on my shelf, but I feel like now both of them will be replaced in favor of the much better of the three. Still, though, unfortunately, when it comes to like the accessories that come include Wonder Woman, still can't help but feel like the handle for the sword is way too big. And I certainly, though, feel like the straps on the back of the shield are way too big to accommodate this figure. It's almost really like these accessories were made for a different figure and then they made them instead for Wonder Woman. I mean, the shield looks good. And if anything, I might just try to have her fit her hand maybe around this. Might just help that maybe ensure that the shield isn't going to fall off her arm. But other than maybe just having oversized accessories that don't belong with her, I feel like this Wonder Woman certainly does belong on my collection shelf. Despite Diana having accessories, in my opinion, too big for the hands to hold, the rest of the figure does show definitely where changes have been made for the positive. I mean, when you really look at a mold like this, the most closest one we have is Shazam Fury of the Gods release of Wonder Woman, and even then, that was an upgrade to the first released Wonder Woman. The first one was too pale in complexion, but at the time, I mean, it was a fine Wonder Woman for my collection shelf, but unfortunately, though, when we got the Shazam Fury of the Gods Wonder Woman release, I end up ultimately retiring that other one for the totes. I feel like probably the same fate's now going to happen for the Shazam 2 release of Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in favor of the best one we've gotten now from Todd and his team. It goes, though, to show, now, even though as a collector, you now have to have invested probably 3 times picking up this mold, but with every single subsequent release we've gotten from McFarlane Toys, the mold of Gal Gadot has gotten better and better, and now the best. I don't think at all they're going to be making any more changes that are going to make me want to retire this one. This Wonder Woman is the one that's going to be displayed on my shelf. This is the one that's going to be joining the rest of my Justice League. What do you guys think of this Wonder Woman? Let me know down below in the comment section. And as a video question, have you ever had that happen where you picked up a figure before and basically got a new updated release of that mold where it was so good that you retired the first one you had in your collection? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you guys did enjoy this video, you can do it a solid. You can throw it a like. You guys want to stick around for more so? I hope so. Hit that subscribe, turn on that bell, and of course come back. We're wrapping things up right now for Wonder Woman, but there will be more McFarlane Toys reviews coming your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.